Welcome everyone. The latest challenge with my AC is to rewire and install new electric parts. There is something satisfying about putting nice new parts into the car, which is a change from spending thousands of hours restoring. As you can see here, my new RF95 control box arrived. This is handmade in the UK by Classic Dynamo and Regulator Conversions. It is an electronic version which I hope will give better battery charging and thus cope with having some extra electrical accessories on the car. With no wiring on the AC yet, I quickly swapped over the units. I put some Niogel grease inside the screw terminals. When I last ran the AC, I used Vaseline in the sleeve bullet connectors as well as on the battery terminals. There is a lot of confusion about this topic. The most comical things I've read online include people who place a test meter across a tub of Vaseline or Niogel and proudly proclaim that it doesn't conduct and thus can't work. All that was missing was some canned laughter. Yes, these substances do not conduct electricity, but they also do not reduce the performance of tight-fitting connections. They prevent corrosion, including fretting corrosion caused by vibration. With no corrosion, the bullet connectors can be pulled apart in the years to come. Niogel copes with higher temperatures than Vaseline so that you can use it in lamp sockets and engine connections. It is not compatible with natural rubber, so I will continue to use Vaseline in the old style sleeve connectors, although I'm not actually sure if the new sleeves are still natural rubber. While I was awaiting the new wiring loom, I purchased a new battery, but old style. This was from Lincoln Batteries. Then I made an extension to the dashboard from plywood. This carries 3 warning lamps and a switch for a headlamp flasher. The warning lamps are for indicators and main beam. Next I made a pair of lamp brackets for the rear of the car from aluminium angle girder. I've kept the assemblies nice and light with plastic lenses. While I awaited new indicators, I tested the earthing. With the new bracket clamped between 2 painted brackets and the body shell on a wood frame, what do you think the chances are of a good earth? As it turns out, very good. New motorbike style indicators arrived. UK regulations state that reflectors, indicators, tail lamps and brake lamps must be at least 35 centimetres above the ground. This is about level with the top of the rear bumper. Reversing lights and rear fog lights must be at least 25 centimetres above the ground. I painted the brackets to match the body colour, firstly preparing with abrasives and a panel wipe type of cleaner, then etch primer followed by high build undercoat and then coat paint. This was followed up with a clear coat. I used angle girders so that these brackets can double as overriders as the AC's bumper is very low. Next, something that isn't really electrical in this instance. The screen washer that my dad installed was a cheap pump action system. I mounted the bottle without damaging any original components on the car and renewed the piping and non-return valves. I have the old letter to my dad from a screen washer company telling him to fit twin nozzles because the AC has a split V-screen. They claim that the V angle would deflect the spray from the central nozzle. They were wrong. The V angle is very shallow and the central nozzle that Dad fitted works well. As the car's speed increases, the spray moves towards the centre pillar, so you will need to direct them towards the outer ends of the screen in static testing. The AC's original battery would have had a flange at each end with a bolt hole, taking a pair of very long bolts. I can't find this style of battery anywhere, so I have made a steel frame to clamp the battery down. A simple assembly of steel angle girders, which are painted with my favourite epoxy mastic black paint. The screws are stainless steel 2BA. Good news, the new wiring loom arrived from Autosparks. They said it can take up to 10 weeks to make and mine took 7 weeks. I included some zinc plated P-clips and chassis edge clips in my order. These are a set of tail leads for the lamps, excluding headlamps, that I purchased by mistake. And here are the flasher units included, as I opted for some added extras to the loom. Autosparks looms don't include tail leads, but I forgot that the AC does not have tail leads, apart from the leads for the headlamps. However, these won't be wasted since the outer sleeves are required to protect leads under the wings, and the wires might be of use too. If all this looks a bit daunting, then it is worth memorising some of the colour codes. These are largely the same for all the British cars. Some colours are easy to remember, such as black for earth and red for tail lamps. Red is also used for side lamps, rear number plate lamps, and on the AC, the interior light. Blue leads are for headlamps. Plain blue goes between the switch and the dipper switch. Blue with white is for the main beam, and blue with red is for the dipped beam. Plain brown is for permanent battery connection that is always live. White wires become live when the ignition is turned on, but don't go via fuses. They are used for the ignition coil, fuel pump and distributor. Plain green is used for supplies via the ignition switch and the fuse, and these go to various items such as the indicator switch and the brake light switch. Green with white is for the right hand indicator, and green with red is for the left hand indicator. Green with purple is for the brake lights. For early ACs with no horn relay, the purple lead is for the feed from another fuse to the horns. Purple and black connects the horn switch to the horns. The dynamo leads are yellow and yellow with black. The lead to control the fan relay is pink. Heavy supply leads, one brown and one black, are included for the full fan current. This is what the original loom looks like, probably past its best. Time to get the front section of loom installed. These cables are way too long, although on the original the horn cable was also overly long and it was folded and taped together. There's an 8-way terminal block that is fitted in the engine bay at the front left corner. I couldn't find a new one, so I cleaned up the shabby looking original. It's a long reach to install the mounting screws, but much easier if the headlamp bowl has been removed. I'm smearing some Nigel on the bullet connectors. These are the wires for the additional front indicators, but stand by for a later correction on these leads. This green lead is also an extra one. Presumably it is to allow the fan to be isolated when the ignition is switched off. The loose leads are also for the fan, and there's no room left in the connector block for them. I slipped a PVC sleeve over the side lamp and additional indicator leads. I then released part of the wire mesh under the wing so I could get the leads into the lamp mounting. There are the purple leads ready for the horns. The cable for the dynamo is held by zinc-plated P-clips to the bulkhead. The dynamo is at the rear of the engine. Those new P-clips are very sharp. Try not to get blood all over the coloured leads. Moving to the centre of the chassis, I noticed that the fuel pipe is obstructing where the chassis cable clips all go, so I raised one of the P-clips and put a rubber block under it. A pair of snazzy looking dampers over there. I noticed an issue with the additional indicator leads. Green and red should be on the left, green and white should be on the right. I checked the rear subloom and the same mistake was found. I will have to swap the connections around. These chassis cable clips are the wrong size for the AC, so I've ordered some others from Paul Beck Vintage Supplies. Unfortunately, I had to enlarge the hole through the bulkhead to take all the extra leads. Here are all the leads for the dashboard. These 4 green leads go to the 2 flasher units. The black and pale green leads are for the added power socket, and the pink lead is for the engine fan. The original aluminium P-clips were too small for the upgraded loom, so I modified some of them. Here I'm threading the cable for the rear lamps into the chassis side member. I was about to connect the main loom with the front junction box. Unfortunately, removal of the supplied snap connector pulled off the bullet terminal on an indicator lead. Expletives have been edited out. These bullet ends were not soldered on like on the original loom, so I presume that they are crimped on. I'll have to solder the broken one. I was expecting the main challenge to be sliding the cable through to the rear, but it pushed through easily. It makes it a lot easier if the floor is removed. Access hatches in the boot floor certainly came in handy. Firstly, pulling through the lead for the fuel gauge sender, then the rear light leads. Here are the leads for the trafficators and the interior light, plus the earth lead for the aluminium framework. Now for a slight correction. The indicator leads for the front lamp should go to these 2 pairs of leads via double sleeve connectors. The loom to the left originally had 2 indicator leads. Now it has 8, so it's hard to keep track of them all. You've just seen me opening out a sleeve connector that was too tight, which is partly why a bullet end came off earlier. I decided to check all the sleeve connectors for tightness, noting that too tight is better than too loose. Here you can see that the colours have been swapped to correct the mistake in the front subloom. Next, repair that bullet end that came off. Firstly, a quick clean up and then solder the bullet tip on. Finally, connect it up. That's the end of part 1. In part 2 I'll complete the installation, test the earth connections and then see if it all works. A last minute update before I sign off. I've found the new 8-way connector blocks at AutoSparks. It was listed under workshop consumables and also identified as for E-type Jaguars. I've now ordered one to replace my damaged original. See you in part 2. Thanks for watching.